It's an historical day for FAU's Pine Jog Environmental Education Center as Florida Governor Rick Scott signed into law HB 989. So let's break down what this really means for all of us. I'm here with Eric Eichenberg. Big day today here at FAU. What does this mean?
Well, it's for the first time when you deal with Everglades restoration, we now have a dedicated source of funding. Back in November of 2014, 75% of Floridians went to the polls to pass Amendment 1, which dedicates those dollars for Everglades restoration, our natural springs protection, all of the natural resources that make Florida great. Today, in the celebration of Legacy Florida, we now have those dollars so we can build these Everglades restoration projects, massive water infrastructure projects across South Florida, to ensure we keep more water on the peninsula.
And the restoration is so important, but there's a great return of investment. Can you speak on that?
It is. This is an economic driver for Florida. There's a study that we commissioned just a short number of years back that shows for every dollar that's invested in Everglades restoration, it's a $4 return. And industries like real estate, the fishing industry, the boating industry, all of the sectors of our economy that attract people not only to live in Florida, but also to recreate and to visit.
And having Governor Scott back this, what does this mean?
Well, anytime you have certainly the governor of Florida, the legislature, commit to a minimum of dollars towards Everglades in particular, it's a clear sign to our partners in Washington that this is a serious issue. The eyes of the nation are on Florida to see what we do with the Everglades. And this is an opportunity yet again to keep our foot on the gas and go forward.
I want to first off thank the legislature for all their hard work. The individuals standing up here, they really care about the environment, and they're working hard to make sure we have proper funding. So I'm proud today to join the Florida legislature and thank them for fulfilling the promise for a dedicated funding source to restore the Everglades. Includes annually up to $200 million for Everglades restoration, $50 million for our springs, and $5 million for Lake Apopka. When I ran in 2010, what I heard across the state is our water management districts and DEP, they were starting projects but didn't have the money to finish them because there was not a dedicated funding source. With this specified funding every year, we can focus on finishing projects that protect our estuaries and their Everglades from harmful discharges from Lake Okeechobee, such as funding the storm treatment areas C-43 and C-44.
You have a giant lake, and the lake is going to go up and down depending on how much rain we get and how much water comes into it from other sources. It's inconceivable to me that in 2016 in the United States of America, with MIT and Stanford and Georgia Tech and the University of Florida and FAU, that we don't have a better solution than when the lake goes up, we are going to flood estuaries east and west. That's the best we can do. There is a better solution to that. I'm not a scientist, but I can read and I can write and I can study and I can learn and I can talk to experts. We now have a funding source to go out and find the solution. What this bill does is gives us the financial footing to be able to come up with a long-term solution to the discharges. The governor has come through for our community. We're already bridging the Tamiami Trail so the water can flow south. We're already funding storage programs in the entire region so we have places for water to go rather than east and west.
I'm here with Ray Coleman. You're the executive director at FAU Pine Jog Educational Center. Big day today, right?
Oh, very exciting. We've been working very hard on behalf of the Everglades and providing a lot of education in the area of the Everglades. So it's really exciting to finally see some real funding come through that can help with Everglades restoration and helping to restore the flow of water in the direction that it should go.
Speaking of education, you put out a lot of literature for children to learn about the Everglades. What are you telling them? What are you teaching them?
Well, we're teaching them that the Everglades is a unique American treasure, and there's absolutely nothing like that anywhere else in the world. And the Everglades is tremendously valuable to us for many reasons, not just from a natural perspective of having some of the most unique plants and animals and species, but also from a recreational and an economic perspective. And a lot of folks don't understand the relationship between fresh water in South Florida and the Everglades and how important the aquifer that sits underneath the Florida Everglades is to survival from a water perspective.
If something like this bill was not signed today, looking down the road 20 years, what would the Everglades look like?
Well, the Everglades has already been drained and is drying up quickly, We also have complicated challenges because of the amount of water and runoff water, much of which is very rich with nutrients and fertilizers, that is being discharged out of Lake Okeechobee right now, which winds up polluting and just creating major environmental disasters for our lagoon and coastal regions.
To have that dedicated source year over year over year, so that we know you can do that planning, you can start that project, you can actually finish that project, and you can get that new research, the new projects online. But another thing that hasn't been talked about that I do want to mention is this now gives us the ability to go to those federal partners saying, put your money where your mouth is. We have our money. Where's your money? And one of the most important aspects of this bill is that it specifically states priority will be given to projects that will help end the harmful releases from Lake Okeechobee into the St. Lucie and the Caloosahatchee. This is a legacy for Florida.
This year, our Florida First budget invested more than $3 billion in funding to protect Florida's agricultural and natural resources.
This is a game changer. It's going to make all the difference in that long-term planning and the ability to commit to various projects and to be able to go to our federal partners and say, you know, we really need you to be part of this.
Everglades restoration is a unifying issue. 15 years ago, it brought Republicans and Democrats together in an uncanny way to say we want to ensure that this ecosystem is provided for the next generation. And we're delighted to partner with President Kelly and Pine Jog here to ensure the next generation of Floridians have that literacy on why the Everglades is so vital. 3 years ago, it was this governor who decided to put up half the money for the next 2.6 miles of Tamiami Trail bridging that will allow fresh water to flow into Everglades National Park and Florida Bay. 2 years ago, the governor endorsed and supported the Central Everglades Planning Project that now stands before Congress waiting for authorization that will remove man-made barriers to flow water again to the south. And now today we see the governor signing Legacy Florida that provides that dedicated revenue for these critical projects.
Today, what I'm proud to do is be able to sign the legislation that will have a dedicated funding source for the Everglades, for our springs, and for Lake Apopka. It's the right thing to do for our states, for all of our citizens, so children like my daughters and my grandchildren can enjoy this state for generations to come. So it's a great opportunity to sign.
So now we have the funding to restore and protect one of the natural wonders of the world for all generations to enjoy, the Florida Everglades.